Talk about this a little bit here in the studio, Pat. These remains are found. They're in garbage bag, duct tape. This place has been underwater for some time already.
That's the big problem.
Yeah,
that really is. Well, you know, anytime you have water at a scene, it just really destroys evidence. It, first of all, it helps the decomposition proceed quickly, and then everything gets wiped away.
Literally washed away.
Really washed away, and it's underwater, so it's a disaster. And so what people are thinking, wow, but there's trash bags and there's duct tape, so this is going to be great. But we're saying, okay, you got a piece of duct tape. It's been underneath that water for months and months. And yes, duct tape is great because, you know,
because hasn't it been used in a prosecution or at least in a defense that whatever the what do they call it, styrations or the method of making the bag was traceable to some other lot that was found in a house?
It depends. Now, if you take some of the trash bags, when you have to rip them off, and the cheaper ones essentially, then they will have a striation pattern that goes all the way through the whole roll. But here's the problem: it's been months. People use trash bags pretty regularly, so if you ripped it off and used it in the crime, chances are 6 months later you're not going to have that exact box. And the next box, all you can say is, oh, they bought the same brand. But I mean, everybody buys the same brand, everybody in the neighborhood. The other problem is some of these actually don't have, they're not actually connected. They're separate bags, the fancier ones, so that's going to be a problem. Now, here's one of the reasons I brought this one along. This is the lawn and leaf bag. The hope is that this bag, it would be one of these, one of the bigger ones, because you might keep this in your garage, not use it on a daily basis. So you can hope that this might be still there. And the duct tape, you know, this is great stuff. It gets fingerprints. You get your hair stuck on it, fibers, and you're in a rush, so you might leave things. You sometimes tear it with your teeth because you simply can't get it torn. And then you can have even saliva. But how about that water? It's probably going to destroy everything on there.
All right. Pat Brown, thank you so much. Kathy Wright, thank you very much as well.
Too many questions. Please welcome criminal profiler Pat Brown to the show. Too many questions. What do you think about this case? Tell me about this.
This is a absolutely bizarre case. Right up front, we thought that indeed, you know, these were doctors vacationing. Child goes missing. Yes, it seems like a stranger came in and took the child.
Wait a minute. Let's start right there for a second, because I got to talk about this. There's supposedly a cultural difference on this. I spent a lot of time in London. It's a lot of time in Europe. I'm sorry, I don't understand what this claim of cultural difference is. I don't know one European person who leaves their baby anywhere by themselves. So when I saw the story and looked at the news, and I'm looking from the restaurant, I can't even see the front door.
Yeah, right. There was like all kinds of, you had to weave around the pool and go past some bushes, and then there's like a fence, and and you're thinking, wow, if I were looking at my kid somewhere way over there and I knew I had to go all the way around there, that would scare me. I can't imagine.
Now, this story has made national headlines. It's been featured on a lot of different television programs. Please welcome Mr. Tom Morse, who's a senior correspondent from America's Most Wanted, to the show. Good. You guys talked a little bit about this case, did you not?
We did. We've talked about it a lot, and we've looked into it a lot. And we really don't know what happened here either. It just looks like this child vanished, and it doesn't appear now. Although, like you said earlier, you know, the initial reaction was the parents had to have done it. But now it doesn't look that way. It just looks like this child has disappeared. And there's no explanation.
In the last 2 days, though, now they're saying that there's evidence. See, that's why I got you guys here. I want you to sort this stuff out. Is it a fact? Is there truth to the claim that they found fluids? They didn't say blood. They said fluids in the trunk of the rental car that in some way, shape, or form, I don't know if DNA tests have been done yet or not, but there seems to be alluding to the fact that there's been a positive DNA match between the little girl and the trunk of the car, and I also heard some hairs.
The problem with that is that they rented that car 25 days after she disappeared. And at least 30 people have been in that car, ridden in that car, put stuff in the trunk of that car. The DNA could closely match the other kids that they have.
I'm going to disagree with that. My problem with that is I don't care how many people you put in the car. If Madeline's DNA is in the car, it's in the car. Now, the other children, yes, they might have some close DNA. The question is, have they DNA'd the kids and matched it and see how much of the, how many
in the trunk of the car? I like the word fluid.
Right.
It could have been transferred from some item that they put in the trunk.
Except they claim, this is kind of weird, that they put dirty diapers in the back of the car.
They did.
And that's kind of a...
Who does that?
I'm having trouble with that now. So the question is, how good is the DNA evidence? Now, we have the Brits doing the work right now. They're claiming it's going very well. And do not just say, point fingers at the Portuguese and say they're not doing the job. That's going very well. But we don't know exactly how good the evidence is yet.
All right, I got to add some other things to it. What about the fact that they found Mommy Dearest's diary?
It's been reported that they have some information from the diary, but the thing is the Portuguese police aren't saying much. That's the interesting thing. They're not saying hardly anything. And so everything that we hear in the press about this is pretty much leaked out or speculated, and we really just don't know what cards the police are holding, if any.
All right, well, you know what? The McCanns remind me of a couple of shows that we did years ago.
Fresh air, I think that's appalling.
What about it, Pat Brown? You've seen it all. You're a criminal profiler and author.
Well, let's face it, that is a spoiled boy and is a spoiled family with lots of money. That's true. I do think, though, that what they're leaning on is the question of equal responsibility. Now, I know you're going to get mad at me for saying this, but you had 2 men who were drinking, 2 men who got into the car, 2 men who realized that there was going to be speeding, and 1 man who didn't put the seatbelt on. Now, that doesn't mean that Mr. Hogan isn't at fault for what he did, but the fact is, I think the family says, look, it was an accident. Both the guys, this is the way they party. They drive fast, they party, they have fun. It was a horrible accident. And while they talked about, you know, why maybe that happened to him, I think they were talking about karma in their own private conversation. So is he spoiled? Yes, but I don't think that we're looking at it quite right.
Pat,
yes.
Number 1,
yes.
In a correctional facility, there is no private phone conversation.
Well, they didn't think it was
like
going
to finish.
be out
I would
on
like
the television,
to finish.
Nancy.
I would like to finish, Pat.
I would think mine would be private. If I called my son in a correctional institution, was chatting with him, I would think maybe, yes, for law enforcement, but not for the general public. I wouldn't think go on television. That's ridiculous.
You done?
Yeah, I'm finished.
Okay. There are placards by every telephone stating your phone calls, you said you were finished. Your phone calls are not private. Period. End of story. There is Freedom of Information Act where these phone calls can be made public. End of your first point. And number 2, whenever anybody drinks and drives and crash, that's not an accident. That is a decision to drink and drive.
That is correct.
That
why he
is
gets
the end.
punished.
And again,
why he gets
you
punished
said
for it.
You were
why
done.
He gets punished
so thank
for it.
you a lot. Out to the lines, Vanessa in Georgia. Hi, Vanessa.